The government shutdown continues because of the Democrats, and Elise Stefanik announces her gubernatorial candidacy. Now, let's get into this.
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast, and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts, and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring, and George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil, chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk and doubt it, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
You know, the new motto for the Democrats, because it fits, should be, "We came to oppress the brown people, molest the children, and chew bubble gum. And we're all out of bubble gum." Because that's what the Democrats are all about. They're all about oppression. They are the party of oppression. And they are also the party of Pizzagate. But let's cover the oppression part. They've admitted on camera, several talking heads of the Democrat Party, several powerful people of the Democrat Party have admitted on camera that they need this government shutdown for leverage to get things that further oppress the American people implemented into a bill that could have been signed as is without their woke shit being put into it. But they want all the woke stuff in there. They want free Medicare for illegal aliens, illegal trespassers. They want free medical aid to these illegal trespassers, many of whom are what I would call Jocelyn killers, named after the two people who ganged up on 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in Texas, sexually assaulted and murdered her. So these unvetted illegal aliens who you can't guarantee there are zero murderers among them would get free Medicare if they are, if this bill goes through that the Democrats want. This is all the fluff added to a bill they should have left alone. The Democrats want this fluff in the bill. Otherwise, the shutdown continues. And how does this oppress people? Well, you do have people on government assistance that are not going to get their government assistance and are not getting their government assistance right now because of the Democrats, because of this shutdown created by the Democrats. And there aren't enough people speaking on this and driving this point home that this oppression of people dependent on government assistance is because of the Democrats. They are the oppressors who point the accusing finger at the Republicans as the oppressors. They caused the havoc and then accused the Republicans of the havoc. And of course, this will spark a surge in crime. People will perform desperate measures. The people will take desperate measures and walk out of stores with food that they didn't pay for because they are starving. And starving or not, the law is the law, and this is a crime that wouldn't have to be if not for the Democrats. You're gonna see Walmarts being looted. You're gonna see supermarkets being looted. Any place that sells food being looted. And somehow sneaker stores will be looted. I don't know where the correlation is there, but I'm sure that will take place as well. And you could bet your bottom dollar it will be because of the Democrats. And why do I say that? Because of the motto I've always been saying for quite a few years now. Crime runs rampant because of the Democrats. This is also the party of Epstein listers. Now they're saying there's no Epstein list, but people connected with not only Jeffrey Epstein, but all the horrific child rape associated with Jeffrey Epstein. And not a single Republican is among them. It's all Democrats or whatever the foreign equivalent to the American Democrat Party is. People like Prince Andrew, for example. And you had people like Hillary Clinton funneling money through the Clinton Foundation, supposedly to help earthquake-torn Haiti, but instead they used that money for child trafficking the children of Haiti. And a few famous singers, a few famous frontmen of very popular bands of the 90s and early 2000s were running their own private investigations on Pizzagate, proving it. They were about to prove it to be a real phenomenon and a tangible connection they were going to prove to be with that and Hillary Clinton. And lo and behold, like a lot of people that knew the Clintons, they are now dead. Talking about the lead singers of Soundgarden, of Linkin Park, and I believe they even connect Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots to this as well. But these people are now dead, quite possibly because of the Democrats. And you know how that story goes. People that know the Clintons get caught up in some scandal having to do with the Clintons, and then they're found dead. There was a person who was as good of a swimmer as an Olympic swimmer who was found naked, supposedly drowned to death on a property of Barack Obama's. Probably because he knew a little something about the Sinclair incident in Chicago. So yes, they do bizarre sex acts, involve children, and then cover it up by leaving a trail of bodies. The Democrats are monsters, I tell you. We're not talking about well-intended people with ideas we simply disagree with for the betterment of America. These are evil bastards with full intent to destroy America and rebuild it as some sort of communist utopia that benefits only them and oppresses everyone else. Only the people at top running communist governments have ever flourished under communist regimes. Socialists, same shit. Democratic socialists, well, it's another branding of socialism and communism. Nazism is socialism. So, all this bad man, Hitler, bad man, yeah, okay, he was all of that, but he was one of those guys, not our guys. Okay? All these atrocious people throughout world history, Jeffrey Epstein, Adolf Hitler, these are all people on the side of the Democrats, not the Republicans. Although you did have some stragglers that are working with the evil left. People like Prescott Bush, Bush 41's father, Bush 43 and Jeb's grandfather, who worked with the evil left. People like that. People like Mitt Romney. I don't care what people say. There are some bad Republicans out there, and that's why you have to cherry pick those guys out and salvage the remainder of the party and get behind the remainder of that party to save America. And speaking of saving America, and one of the states of the Union, which is my state of New York here, Elise Stefanik, a Republican, announced her candidacy for governor of New York to hopefully, by November of next year, go head-to-head with the current governor, Kathy Hochul. And she was on fire in the congressional hearing in which they had a few governors, Kathy Hochul among them, where Kathy Hochul could not explain all the crime that runs rampant that we know is because of the Democrats. Because of Democrat Mayor Eric Adams, Democrat Mayor Bill de Blasio, Democrat Governor Huckster Hochul, and former Democrat Governor had failed former mayoral candidate Andrew Cuomo. So I believe a lot of people throughout the remainder of New York State are not buying in to this new day and new era of Zohar Mamdani, and they are not going to vote for a Democrat who will help Zohar Mamdani along, but curb his radicalism. And it will take a Republican governor to curb the radicalism of a Democrat mayor. So I believe Elise Stefanik has a fighting chance to defeat Kathy Hochul. Some people say Kathy Hochul is so bad of a governor, you could put a rock up against her, and the rock will win. Not the wrestler, an actual piece of stone. And I'm inclined to believe that, but you never know. Somehow, some way, I believe they will figure out, the powers that be will figure out a way to wedge Andrew Cuomo in there to play spoiler. They'll either have him convince Kathy Hochul not to run for office, and for him to run for office as if all is forgiven, and make him governor again. How are you going to resign and run for governor again? But I bet you something like that happens. Or they'll let Kathy Hochul run as a Democrat, and she'll win the nomination and everything. And then they'll wedge Cuomo in there as an independent. And then you'll have people like David Rem getting in Elise Stefanik's plate in her face, telling her that she should drop out, and she's playing the spoiler because the state will be so much worse if Hochul continues to run New York State, and we should give New York State back to Andrew Cuomo, who by that time will be running as an independent. Something really outlandishly stupid like that will take place, and it'll probably mess that up for Elise Stefanik. They're gonna figure out a way to wedge Andrew Cuomo in there. That's what I feel. I mean, I'm not fully convinced that that's what will happen. But as I said in yesterday's video, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. And meanwhile, Curtis Sliwa, nobody's seen or heard from him since the election. I hope he's not in hiding because of what people might try to do to him or his wife or his cats. I mean, you do have some sickos out there, but I don't think Curtis Sliwa is the type to just go into hiding. I think he's doing the natural thing. Everybody has to lick their wounds after losing an election, and that's probably what he's doing. But he's got to get on another radio platform, WOR or something like that, if that exists, or maybe 1010 Wins or something like that. Well, 1010 Wins is a news station, but some sort of talk radio station he's got to get on. Maybe he'll have his own Sirius XM satellite station. Well, it would be great to put him in Howard Stern's place, replace a comedian with a public advocate. Sounds like a plan there. He did say this was going to be his last run, and that he's not going to run for mayor again. I kind of hoped he would run for mayor 4 years from now, but if he doesn't, somebody who grabbed a lot of attention of a lot of New Yorkers is Tina Forte, or Tina Forte, as she pronounces her own name. She ran for AOC's congressional district in New York. She ran against her twice. She came closer most recently, this past last year. that she did 2 years prior. I hope, number one, that she runs against AOC in 26, and win or lose, that she puts her hat in the ring to run for mayor of New York City. It'll be great to say that the first female mayor of New York City is a Republican. That would be a great thing to be able to say. I mean, they love playing the identity politics, and it would be great to say the first female to hold this office is a Republican, the first black person to hold that office is a Republican. Did you know the first black Secretary of State was a Republican? Did you know that the second black Secretary of State, who was also the first black female Secretary of State, was also a Republican? Granted, it was from an administration I didn't care too much for by 2005, but it doesn't change what the facts are. And so, it would be great to say these things. The first female Republican mayor of New York City will be a Republican. And that'll be a beautiful thing. But you never know. If Stefanik is elected governor next year, we could have somebody curbing the radicalism that's expected of Zoran Mamdani. It's definitely important that since this man is mayor, that whatever radical ideas he has are curbed. And he'll be all white-haired by the time he leaves office. He'll decide not to run, probably. And who knows, they might try to put Andrew Cuomo in there again if they don't wedge him in there to play spoiler for Elise Stefanik. But he's going to be the guy they wedge into things throughout New York City and New York State politics to screw things up for the Republican candidate. Because somehow people are correlating the official Republican candidate as the spoiler and not a former Democrat who loses primaries on a regular basis and then wedges himself back into the general as a independent. But either way, things are going to look brighter for us. We have a lock on the midterms. Donald Trump's going to look really good in the down ballots in these midterms. We are not going to lose congressional seats. Nicole Maliotakis is running for re-election next year, and she will not lose her seat because the people are angry at Trump. There aren't enough people in Nicole Maliotakis' district. That's my district here, by the way. There aren't enough of them angry at Trump enough to vote for some random Democrat opponent to Nicole Maliotakis. I also believe State Senator Steve Chan's office is secure, which is the silver lining to the dark cloud that Curtis Sliwa did not get elected mayor. Because had Curtis Sliwa been elected mayor, one of his deputy mayors would have been Steve Chan, which would mean the seat would be vacant, and it would have to be a special election, and it would probably be filled by a Democrat. So it's probably best that that seat be secured for now by a Republican and a conservative and a good ethical man by the name of Steve Chan. So the future isn't as bleak as one would think. And we're going to win. We're going to crush the Democrats. We are on a mission, all of us, myself included. We're part of a team, a coalition, whose whole purpose is not to negotiate with the Democrats, but to cripple, defeat, and destroy the Democrats. Get them out of office, and then various Republicans can settle their differences and work out their differences to implement what's best for the American people and the people of New York State and the people of New York City and, of course, the borough of Brooklyn. And with that said, I say unto thee, respect God, watch out for the Illuminati, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, stay strong, keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host that is never gross, MC Too Tall. Now you be safe out there.